Welcome to the Foster Your Passion podcast, where entrepreneurs, who are mostly women, share their passions, their lessons, and leave you feeling uplifted, motivated, and possibly even inspired to go and foster your own passion. I'm your host, Hayley Foster, and this is the Foster Your Passion podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Foster Your Passion podcast. I'm super excited today to be here with the amazing Jack Perez of Kuel Life. Jack and I met on Clubhouse. She has an amazing brand that helps support women over 40 in their second act of life. I cannot wait to jump into this with you today, Jack. I'm so excited that you are here with me. I have so much respect for what you're doing, and I absolutely I feel like we're going to have a great conversation today. So thank you.
Oh my gosh, Hayley, I am giddy. I'm so happy to be here. Having met you and spent the weekend with you and just loving your energy. And I just knew when I left that, I'm like, oh, I hope Hayley thinks I'm a good candidate for her podcast. I want to spend more time with her. So thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. So let's just dive right in. So tell me about your journey that got you to building this Kuel Life platform.
So Hayley, and this journey, the more that I say it, the more that I talk about it, the more I realize that it's not a unique journey. It's not a journey that other women aren't on at the same time. And that's what makes it so amazing and special is I literally built the Kuel Life platform for very selfish reasons because I felt like I was disappearing and becoming invisible in my early 50s, say 52 or 53. Every other human, right? Every other human goes through this process called menopause. And some women don't even notice it or, get away without any sort of symptoms. Some women get buried, run over by like a tractor trailer. I was one of those women that got run over by a tractor trailer. I was unhappy. I couldn't regulate my emotions. I've never been someone who suffered from anxiety, and I would wake up anxious. I was not a good partner. I was certainly not a good mother, and I wasn't a good friend, and I wasn't a good person to myself. I knew I needed to find an answer, but when I went to start looking for answers and research, there was very little positive information out there that is relevant to women. And I really focus on 45 and above, but some women in their 40s already relate to they're already in this sort of area because they had kids earlier or whatnot. I was just late to the party. Like I didn't notice I was in middle age. I didn't understand, oh my gosh, I'm old now or getting older until I was almost 53. And then it hit me. And I'm like, okay, I got to do something about this because there has to be a gap between miniskirt and depends. And so in that gap, what do we get to do?
There's definitely a gap there for sure.
Right? But I really felt like there wasn't a lot in the media that spoke to me. I didn't see women that looked like me wearing clothes that I like to wear, all sorts of things, it's just a lot of messaging around anti-aging and how aging is bad. But the reality is that I have yet to meet a human who doesn't want to age.
That doesn't want to age. Have
Correct.
You met me?
The alternative to not aging, Hayley, isn't staying young, my friend. You can only stay young one way, and nobody wants that alternative. So the trick is to make, fun and exciting and to live the same life, if not bigger and better. And actually, I think the second half of life is far better than the first half because I give a lot less F's about anything. I'm just
you can totally curse on my podcast, Jack.
Really? Okay, I did not know. Yay!
Yes, come on. It's my podcast.
I was suspicious, but I wanted to make sure.
Come on. It's like one of my favorite words in the world.
I am working on becoming with. That's what I'm working on. My goal, I will have reached nirvana when I am officially with. That's my mission in life.
I love it. Absolutely love it. So, okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No,
you were
that's okay.
saying.
So what happened was I felt alone and unseen. And I'm not a person who ever experienced that before. It was really weird. It was really weird. And I have to say, in part, I was doing it to myself. I'm not going to lie. I was having a really hard time with what I was seeing reflected back to me. I grew up, being a fairly attractive person who turned heads and got lots of, what do they call, pretty people treatment, like extra drinks at the bar or an overlooked traffic ticket or whatever that may be. And then all of a sudden, I wasn't even getting any kind of treatment. I was just like Casper the ghost. And I thought, well, that's just not going to work for me. And there has to be a ton of vibrant, energetic, charismatic, super smart women out there who want to thrive in this time. I mean, we have such a gift that we get to live so much longer than our ancestors. And this is just a change that's happened over the last, say, 150 years. So we get this whole other era that our great grandmothers and grandmothers did not get. What are we going to do with it? We have to decide what we're doing with that time because we don't have history to show us. So we're defining it. You and I and the rest of us, we're defining it for generations to come. It's important. And that's why I built the platform, because I believe that the collaboration and the collective power of women is incredibly strong and powerful and can move mountains and change the tide. And that's what I'm working on.
Yeah. And I believe that you're actually doing that. I do believe you're doing that. I want to take a step back though, because you said something really interesting before, which is we hit a point in our life where we stopped giving a fuck. And for me, I think that point was, it was 40. I think I hit 40 and I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm old enough, I'm wise enough. I've got experience in my database of experiences to decide at 40, like who I want to surround myself with. And I mean, I think there's so many, you're right. Like, I don't want to go backwards, but I love that at 40, I was able to start looking at life differently and looking at my surroundings and looking at my children and figuring out like, what's the life I want to live? And at 40, I think we're at that point where we can make that decision. I always say, like, it's not like, what do you want to be when you grow up? It's actually, who do you want to be when you grow up?
Right.
Who do you want to become? Who is that person? Like, what's that legacy you want to leave behind? And I think at 40, well, for me and maybe for our generation, like at 40, we start looking at it that way in terms of like, what have I accomplished? Who have I impacted? And that's, I think, why so many women in my network, in your network, get to that point in life where they're like, I want to do something different. I want to do something that fills my cup, that empowers me, that serves other women or serves people in general. And I feel blessed, honestly, to have had that eye-opening experience. Mine came in the form of a divorce, but it was eye-opening for me. It was my chance to say, like, who do I want to be? Like, what, is this the life I want to be living? And I made choices and sacrifices. I know you're part of the D Club as well, but I made choices and sacrifices for my better self, right? To live the life I wanted to live. I chose happiness, and I think.
It doesn't surprise me that you got there that early. At 40, I had a 4-year-old. And I was a single mom. So I wasn't thinking much about me or what I wanted or, who I wanted to be when I grew up because, I was in pre-kindergarten hell or whatever that, it's just. I was there too. I had a 4-year-old at 40. Did you? Okay. Well, it doesn't surprise me though that I just didn't have the bandwidth to even, I just wasn't thinking that way, but I got there. I got there, and I think that's really. And here's actually that's actually a really good point. It doesn't matter when you get there. You get there when you get there, but once you're there, you kind of know the difference.
Right. Absolutely. You feel the difference, right? It's a feeling.
Yes.
You feel like, I want to feel good.
Yes.
And it's been a journey of doing the things I need to do to feel good from that moment on.
Right.
And taking things into my life like gratitude and forgiveness and acceptance and, all the things that, help us to be the best version of ourselves. I was talking yesterday about like the ever, I don't know what the word is, the never ending journey of learning, right? I feel like at this point, with all of the content and information that we have at our fingertips in every form possible, if you're not trying to make yourself a better person every day, like, what are you doing? You're like wasting life.
Yeah. And you only get one of them, as far as I know.
Only get one.
That we know, right? But yeah, constant curiosity. I'm a big believer in constant curiosity. Sometimes it can be to my detriment, right? Because there are so many things that I find interesting and so many avenues that I want to explore. But you can't, you have to stay focused on something for at least a short period of time, or you can't make it worth your while. And that's frustrating. And that's actually one of the more frustrating things as I age, because like it or not, I can do math. And no matter how healthy I am, and thankfully, I'm a very healthy person. I work hard at taking care of my mind and my body, because that's the vehicle that I've been given to live in, to drive around in this universe. And so why I need to take care of it, or it's going to fall apart. But the reality is that no matter what you do, you still have an expiration date. Everybody does. We don't know what it is, but everybody does. And the older we get, the more that expiration date becomes a part of our everyday existence, which I think in turn is what allows us to stop giving by the way. Right? Because if you have an endless runway, what's a little inconvenience here and there? What's a little toxic relationship? What's a little, but when you understand that you have X amount of time, I know for me, I'm far less likely. I learned something. I did this shift intensive class with Bethany Clemenson. I think she was a guest, and she's a mutual friend. And one of the things that I learned from her, which I'm working on practicing, much to the chagrin of the people I live with, is that I now prefer to disappoint them than to disappoint myself. So you can understand that doesn't go over so well with the boyfriend and the son. They're like, wait a minute, what happened to the selfless? I'm like, yeah, Jack's not selfless anymore. You can blame Bethany.
That's very funny and an interesting learning, I guess, to come out of shift. But I think, if that works for you, then, that was the shift you needed to make. We gotta do for ourselves sometimes.
Yes.
I always say, like, I do for myself every single day. My morning workout and routine is for me. That's Hayley time. I would never give that up. Every now and then I give it up, like my little one who is 12 and not going to be little and wanting mommy home in the morning for that much longer. Every now and then she'll be like, hey, just be here to wake me up with your kisses. And it's like, oof, okay, fine. I'll take tomorrow off. I need a rest day.
I'm glad that you're making that decision, that you're deciding to stay to give the kisses, that you will never regret making that decision.
I know. And also the snuggle time at night. My 14-year-old wants no part of snuggle time with me anymore. She just wants to get in bed with her phone and doesn't want the snuggle time. My little one is like, please, mommy, and I try to make concessions. Like, if you got in bed at 10:30 instead of 11, you'd get more snuggle time. So
right.
We're going to start this process earlier, because if mommy doesn't get her sleep, mommy's not happy.
Doesn't like to stay up till 11. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So my 19-year-old son is still very affectionate. And I'm very grateful for that. Very grateful for that.
You've told me that, and that's just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Let's circle back to Kuel Life, because I feel like it'll be in the show notes and people can read all about it, but let's talk about what that evolution was in terms of, like you said, I need to do this. This is a missing element in the world for me and for millions of other women. Like, what was your first step? Like, how did you jump off that diving board and just dive right into this?
Well, yeah. So basically what happened was I had a good friend who lived in California in Sausalito, and I had known her for years. And she was a couple years older than I. And she had also lived this amazingly big life. I guess she had been on Wall Street and a stand-up comic in New York, and she had done the swim from Alcatraz. I mean, she was no wilting wallflower, but she was feeling much the same way, the loneliness, the not being seen. And in conversations with her, we decided to build this website where we would house relevant information on topics that are important to women, say 45 and above. The thing is, Hayley, and you're probably already seeing this because you're in this age category, I think this is the more tumultuous than puberty was. All right. I mean, you've got like the physiological changes, the family structure changes, the aging parents, the divorces. Oh my God, the leaving,
all the things,
America, you name it, it's happening. I mean, you're dealing with an aging parent at the same time as your teenager is stealing your car at 3:00 in the morning, and you're literally stuck in the middle, which is called sandwich generation. So there are a myriad and sundry of opportunities and issues during this time of life. But we don't get a party. I mean, we don't get a sweet 16 party or a quinceañera. I mean, there's no party. You just have to muddle through. And I thought, well, I don't want to muddle through alone because I don't have all the answers. I barely have any answers. But I bet there are a gajillion women out there with different answers. And if we built a place where everyone could share their perspective, their expertise, their knowledge, oh my gosh, how powerful would that be?
Yeah.
So we embarked on creating, and at first it was totally a passion project. I was writing all the content, and yes, I'm a writer, but there is I wasn't an expert in all of the topics. So it required a lot of deep diving into information and outlining, and I can't, this is not sustainable. So I started my MBA brain will tell you, I started to data mine, or I started to cyberstalk, depending on the way you look at things. But I looked for women who were in the spaces that were important to other women. And I approached them, I started calling them, cold calling them. And I didn't have much to show. I had a website that I built, which I literally built with chewing gum and Band-Aid, Google, YouTube, and buckets of tears. It wasn't very elegant. It didn't have SEO. It didn't have a GUI. I mean, it was there, but that's the thing. It was better done than not done, right? And I just put it out there.
Yeah.
What happened though, which I didn't realize this was going to happen, but this was such an aha moment when I would talk to these women, whom I did not know, by the way. They were strangers. And I told them why I was doing this, and I showed them the skeleton. I got all yeses. I did not get one no, not a single one. So I went from writing everything myself to now I will end 2021 with, I believe, 50 thought leaders writing on all topics from divorce to sex to skincare to fashion to lifestyle to connection, empty nest, taking care of your elderly parents. We're on it. We have a wealth of information on that platform, and it's brought to you by women who know their stuff. During this process, I lost, I think I told you this, my business partner passed away from bone cancer. And so she died kind of early on, actually right after we launched. So I'm hoping wherever she is, she can see what we've accomplished, because I think she'd be really proud. And I think it would make her feel really good that she helped light this fire before she left.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure. I am a believer, a firm believer in those above us are looking down on us and they see what's going on. I lost my dad 12 years ago, and it wasn't until I was 7 years ago I started this business, and it's in his namesake. It's my maiden name is Foster. And everything I do is really based on, the things I learned from my dad. I wrote the book and talk a lot about my dad in the book and how he mentored me. So I'm a strong believer in the fact that those up above are looking down on us and they see it. Every now and then I'll be like, I wish my dad could see what's going on right now. And I just look up and I know that he's got his hand on my shoulder and he's guiding me and supporting me and helping me make some of the tough decisions that I have to make. So she is with you, Jack. She is all over this website. She is your guide and your muse.
Yeah, I believe that. She gave me, I don't want to give you the finger, but she gave me this ring that had been her mother's before she passed away. And I don't do anything with or for Kuel Life without the ring on, because I feel like I'm bringing her with me wherever I go. Mm-hmm. And, and I don't always I hardly ever point it out. I'm pointing it out because we're talking about her. And I just in case she's listening, I'm like, I have your ring on.
She knows. She knows. But yeah, and it's those little things that keep that alive in us. And I'm sure that wearing that, fills your heart and guides you, when you're having tough days or having to make big decisions. And, that's your guide. That's beautiful. I love that you do that. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love what you're doing with Kuel Life. I love that you have grown this network and you're bringing in all these speakers or writers to help provide content. Like, what is the future? I know you're offering it at a very inexpensive price right now. Yeah. But it's $4.99 a month.
Yes.
If you sign up for a year, you get 2 months free.
Yes.
That price is going up in January. So you're going to be listening to this in November. And so if you're listening in November, jump on over to Kuel Life, which is KUELLIFE.com and sign up because it's going up in January.
Yes, it is. And I wonder what that is.
And if you have a lot to offer also, can you talk a little bit about the different categories that exist within Kuel Life and
yes.
What people can find there? You touched on, sexuality and sandwich generation, and go ahead. I'll let you take over.
Yeah, no. So you name it. So from health and fitness, fashion, empty nest, elder care, sex, dating, divorce, money. I have 4 different money experts. One of them talks specifically about, figuring out your money during a divorce proceeding, which can be really stressful. And a lot of women, they're so stressed and they're so taxed that they walk away. They fold without really thinking it through, that they're actually going to live longer than the spouse they're probably divorcing if it's a heterosexual relationship, and they need the money more than the dude, because they're going to live longer. So just money, you name it. But the other thing, Hayley, that I discovered during this process, as I was talking to more and more women, is so many women become entrepreneurs in this second act because of all the things that we just talked about, right? Finding themselves, giving no more fucks, realizing their dreams. And so I decided to add a curated shopping experience to the platform that focuses on those women-driven brands, because I would talk to women and they're like, yeah, I'm not an expert in any of these topics, but I gave up my corporate job and now I'm making scarves, or I gave up my corporate job and, now I'm making, these beautiful jewelry pieces, metalsmith jewelry pieces. And I'm like, well, okay. I'm not particularly a hardcore religious person, but I do believe in like divine downloads or universe talking to me. And I'm like, I think this platform needs a shopping experience to go with it. And I want to focus on women-driven brands because that ties in to the whole mission of pro-aging and normalizing aging and supporting and enabling and empowering one another throughout this process. And so I added that. And so if any of your listeners have a product that they make or they sell, I would love for them to reach out to me because it might be a really good fit. I mean, we won't know until we have the conversation, and I'll talk to almost anyone to at least explore if there is something there between us, because you never know.
Absolutely. I love that. And obviously my brain starts firing off, like different people that I am going to connect you with. At the same time, I would love to sell my books on your website.
Let's get them up there. Absolutely. I have a whole section of women authors, and you should definitely be one of the women authors on there. Absolutely. And you want to write for Kuel Life. And so we can put your books with your articles as well. So it's a win-win package. I'm so excited.
Yay. Absolutely. Absolutely. What's been your biggest challenge, Jack?
Oh, not enough me.
That there's not enough of you, or
if I could clone myself. So what happened was it was two of us working 7 days a week, 12 to 14-hour days. And then one of us disappeared. And then the other one thought, I can absorb it. I have a lot of energy. The other one was stupid. Yes, I finally got a virtual assistant a few months ago. And it was
amazing.
The greatest gift I have ever given to myself. So if any of your listeners are out there and they're on the fence or vacillating, it is so worth it. It is so worth it because it has allowed me to free up my mental space for more of the strategy about where do I want to grow? Where do I want to go? How do I want to serve the women in this community as the platform grows, because it's growing every day.
And what's the vision? Like where do you see this going? Because by the time we reach 2025, we're going to have 1 billion women in menopause. That's a big freaking market to serve. So what's the vision for you with this?
But my vision is that Kuel Life literally is synonymous with normalizing aging, and that women all over the world, when they come across an issue or a problem, or they have a question and they're curious, that the first place they go, that they skip freaking Google and they go directly to Kuel Life and type in whatever that is, divorce or dry vagina or whatever that term is, because I really am working on making Kuel Life the quintessential platform that houses the relevant, important, meaningful information that we all deserve, need, and should have access to.
Awesome. I mean, I just feel like we should just end it on that note. And there you have it, people. Kuel Life, the platform of the future for normalizing aging.
Yes.
Yes, but in 2025, when you listen back on this podcast episode and, Jack's sitting on the Oprah show for having, I'm putting that out there to the universe, Jack. Yes. You're going to be on Oprah and she's going to be touting your website as the place to go for normalizing aging for women.
Yes. So. Oh my goodness. You said it. It would have to be her Soul Sunday, right? Because she doesn't do her show anymore.
Yeah.
But I would be happy to sit down with Oprah on her Soul Sunday.
That goes to show how much TV I watch. But I mean, I do know she's off the air.
Yeah, I know she's off the air and I don't watch TV. It's just, okay. You knew
so many things we have in common. Awesome. Jack, you are doing amazing things for women. I am so grateful to have you in my tribe and so grateful that you did this podcast with me today. Thank you so much. I know that there's one last thing we want to let the audience know before we leave, which is about the holidays. So do you want to share that?
Yeah. So if you're still looking for gifts at this point in time, why not go to the Kuel Life platform and look at the curated shopping experience? It gives you an opportunity to purchase with a purpose. That dollar that you spend goes directly into the pocketbook of that woman. And you can read about that woman. You know who she is. I mean, not directly, but indirectly, you can read about her and see what drives her and see what motivates her. And that way, when you give the gift, even if it's to yourself, you know that you've made a difference. No, it's not mass manufactured in China. No, it's not going to show up on the Amazon brown truck in 2 hours. But there's a story behind it. And by you participating, you're literally weaving yourself into the fabric of that woman's life.
I love it. All right. So Shop on the kuellife.com platform for your holiday gifts, people. And thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you so much, Jack, for being here. And I can't wait to see how Kuel Life continues to evolve and grow over the next few years. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Hayley.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Hayley Foster, and I hope you'll join me next time for more inspiring women who are fostering their passions each and every day. Please subscribe wherever you download your podcast and follow us on social media at Fostering 101.